All right. Good afternoon, everyone. It's Friday. Happy Friday to you all. I know that even though we're still in lockdown, with the coronavirus, Friday is still a happy day, right? Because the weekend is here. But not much longer, a couple weeks or so, I think, and we should be back to somewhat normal. But in any event, happy Friday to you all. And we have some great news to talk about today. This week was phenomenal for Bitcoin. We actually cracked. Last week, the last podcast we did, I was talking about I could see Bitcoin testing at 8,000, but it smashed through 8,000 and then smashed through 9,000, which was beautiful. So I know you guys were loving that just as much as I was loving that. So that was a great thing. What do you think, Jason?
Well, I was so excited yesterday, but this price actions, of course, it pumps more confidence into people's mind, which is awesome. And I think we needed it in during this pandemic. But I'm gonna keep going back to what I like about mining versus just trading or buying and holding, right? Is that I know that when it hits like $3,000, I know I got some bitcoins at that price. But like yesterday when it hit like over 9,200, I got some bitcoins at that price. So it just dollar cost averaging is what makes me happy every day because I'm in it for the long term. I'm holding on to all my bitcoins. So it's nice to see that we're getting more confidence in the market. And funny thing is, I was talking to Don this afternoon. Uh, he seems to think that we're gonna right after the halving, we're probably gonna go hit $10,000 in his opinion. Um, so I'm looking forward to that. You know.
Yeah. It's funny. Speaking of mining, over buying, James, I just sent you another article. Our very own CEO penned an article this morning, because we do have a blog post, guys. So you guys should make sure that you go into the website and checking out our blog post. Our CEO posts a lot of different articles up there, and other members of her team post articles there, very useful articles, a lot of information. But our
Hmm.
CEO posted an article this morning, you know, pretty much explaining the various benefits of why you should mine Bitcoin as opposed to buying Bitcoin. And I realized that in the beginning, when I first got involved with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, yes, I was buying and trading. But then once, I met our CEO and all the other leaders here and start really looking into the cryptocurrency and Bitcoin in particular, then I realized that, hey, I'm doing it the wrong way. So I always look at it this way. When you buy Bitcoin, you get an instant gratification, okay? But if you're looking for long-term benefit, as opposed to an instant gratification, that's when I realized that it's better off mining Bitcoin. And then, like Jason just said, when you mine Bitcoin, that's the perfect example of what we call dollar cost averaging, right? So it's like you're lowering your cost, you're maximizing your benefits, so to speak. You're getting the most bang for your buck. And so once I realized that, I went all in on mining. But if you guys go to our website, vbitech.com or vbitmining.com and check out our blog post and read an article by our CEO. Very good article, very informative, a lot of information in that article.
Yeah, I was wondering, James, can we maybe post it up on YouTube and people can get a link to that if that's a possibility. It's a great article. I read it early in the morning over my coffee. I would encourage everybody who's gonna attempt to read it over and over again, just so that you can get some familiar. Get yourself familiar with it. The first time I read through it, it was a little bit over my head, but I read it actually twice, so it makes a lot of sense. So I encourage you guys to read it, and then we can certainly talk about it next podcast if you guys have any questions.
Absolutely. I think one of the things, and I was in that same situation too. The reason why many people prefer to buy Bitcoin, not many, but those who do, as opposed to buying, is lack of knowledge.
Mm.
Um, they just don't know. Like I didn't know in the beginning. I just wanted to get my hands on some Bitcoin, so I was buying it. So yes, I didn't know. But then once I got the information, and then once I started to spend more time with our CEO and understanding, the full depth of Bitcoin and the long-term benefit, then I started to realize, I'm better off mining as opposed to buying. So it's always about information and knowledge. And so yes, most people who end up buying over mining Bitcoin, they just don't know. And I think if you read that article, it's very difficult to read that article and then walk away and not appreciate the benefit of mining Bitcoin as opposed to buying Bitcoin. So yes, please read it, okay? So speaking of which, I want to talk about the Bitcoin price this week, Jason. We did start off, as I said, the Bitcoin price up, pierced 9,000. Now,
Yep.
obviously, yeah, nothing's going to go straight up, but I believe that this is a very strong move towards the halving. And, don't be surprised if Bitcoin close in on $10,000 or so in the coming week. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. But yeah, as we get closer to the halving, I think we're going to see a really nice push on the upside. And then after the halving, like we always talk about, we're going to go through a pain point. But I think in the next week or two, we're going to see some really good things in the Bitcoin price.
Yeah, well, we're about 10 days away from Bitcoin's halving event. So I totally agree with you, Gershom, and I confirmed it with Don that we think it's going to go past $10,000 way after the halving, or right as it lead up to the halving event, and then it's probably going to come back down a little bit, and then we're gonna go through that seesawing effect for the next few months. So be prepared for it, folks. I still think that regardless, the price actions, mining it is going to be so much better than buying and trading, and because honestly, none of us are accurate enough to predict when's the high, when's the low. So
yeah, it definitely makes it a lot easier because you don't get caught up in the everyday volatility of Bitcoin. Yeah, it's very volatile. It's a new asset, so it has a lot of volatility. So when you're mining it, you pretty much just sit back and let the machines do the work, and you just collect the Bitcoin every day. There's nothing easier than that. You just sit back, you relax. Especially a company like ours where we do all the heavy lifting and take care of everything. You just sit back and get Bitcoin, sent to your wallet every single day. That's a beautiful thing. And for those people who buy the Bitcoin every day, they're caught up with the emotion, the up and down emotion of buying Bitcoin.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the hardest part to kind of fight off of, right? It's that emotional urge that or fear of missing out, right? The FOMO, am I missing out? It's going, it went past 8,000. Now it's went past 8,500. Oh, it just broke 9,000. Oh man, should I get in now? Am I going to be too late? I don't want to miss $10,000. Only to know that after around 9,200, it drops back down.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah.
So it is something that we kind of like every human being, the shortfall, like it's hard to fight that urge, and none of us are expert enough to be able to predict the exact timing to get in and get out. So I highly recommend that we do the easy thing for us, all right, which is the mind. So you gotta cause averaging it.
Don't make it hard on yourself.
But don't make it difficult.
Don't make it difficult.
Yes,
but listen, how about this, Jason? So this past month of April, right? Bitcoin had its best April in terms of price movement, best April since 2013. So
yeah, I remember you mentioning that. I mean, that's exciting to know in the midst of this whole pandemic, unlimited QE that our federal government and the rest of the reserve banks are doing. They're just pumping out money like crazy, and yet all the stocks are dropping. So a lot of the equities are dropping, and Bitcoin is having its best April. So it's amazing to know that this is happening.
Yeah, and so with that kind of information, you have to kind of really sit back and process that. Like, what does that mean, right? So there's always all this negative talk about Bitcoin. They're completely out of context. So as we approach the halving, where the amount of Bitcoin that get distributed every 10 minutes gets cut in half. And the naysayers say, well, that's going to, let people not want to get involved with Bitcoin because, especially when it comes to mining and everything, because they feel they're going to get less. But to the contrary, right? We're approaching the next halving, and we've had the best April since 2013. That shows you that the interest in Bitcoin is only growing and not diminishing. Many would like for you to think that the interest in Bitcoin is waning, but that's not the case. And it's always in the numbers, right? People can talk and they can say whatever, but you always go to the data, right? The numbers. The truth is in the numbers. And the numbers say that more and more people are getting involved or having more interest in Bitcoin, right? As a matter of fact, I saw an article, it may have been 3 or 4 days ago, that says, when I read it, at that time, the number of people that have Bitcoin wallet has increased. It was a very good sized percent. I don't remember the exact number, but the gist of it is the number of people right now that have a Bitcoin wallet that stores Bitcoin has increased year to year. So every single year, that number is increasing. So the more interest coming into the Bitcoin space, and this is where we're going to see what we call the mass adoption. The more we see these, positive news, the price, what Bitcoin really is. So when the naysayers start to say negative things, just don't listen to them. Do your own research, by the way. It always comes down to do your own research.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Coach. There's always going to be people that are going to be on the negative about every new technologies and every new idea that are coming out, right? I remember there's so many people that were, as recently as when Uber first came out, people were very negative about it, and then prior to that, there were people that were very negative about Amazon. So do your own research. I agree with you. I've done my research, and I do believe in Bitcoin for the long run. That it's definitely going to be a great hedge against the traditional fiat dollars or fiat money. So,
yeah, absolutely. And another thing is, I sent another article to James where, so year to date, right? Bitcoin has outperformed in terms of percentage gain from when we hit that low, this recent low in the market crash. So Bitcoin right now is outperforming the stock market and gold.
wow.
Both of them. Yes. So how you like them apples, right?
That is awesome. I really think that with this new pandemic that we're experiencing, and all the federal banks in the world are pumping out money like crazy, like in nothing compared to 2008. Bitcoin is not only gonna do great, but I think it's really gonna thrive. I'm really looking forward to 2021 and see what the new Bitcoin price is gonna reach. If you guys are listening, I mean, send us a message and let us know what you think or where you think the Bitcoin price is going to end up in 2020 and 2021. I'll be curious to know what our audience are thinking.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I know what I think, but you're right. It would be great to know what our members are thinking and what our audience are thinking. What do you guys think the price of Bitcoin is going to be in 2021? Um, I I honestly believe that definitely the Bitcoin price next year is going to be above the all-time high, which was 20,000. And a lot of analysts that I've been listening to and reading their blogs and articles and stuff like that, and checking out their podcasts, a lot of them are thinking that, look, man, we could easily see $100,000 Bitcoin, and that's being conservative for most of them. And for me saying that I think Bitcoin is going to be above the all-time high of 20,000, that is super conservative on my end. I'm just want to keep it, manage our expectation really. But hedge fund guys, billionaire guys, billionaire investors, guys that's in the space, that's in technology, Silicon Valley people, they're saying, hey, $100,000 Bitcoin, don't be surprised if we hit that next year. And everything right now is setting up for that to happen. And I sometimes, go ahead, Jason.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're right. Go ahead, Gershom.
No, what I was going to say is, as much as we talk about it, I don't think people really understand the consequence of all this money printing. I really don't think people are processing that correct. I mean, right now it's happening. We're in the moment, right? And that's always happened. When you're in the moment, it's like they say, you can't see the forest for the trees, right? So we're in the moment. Market is crashing. We got the coronavirus. Businesses are closed down, right? So it seems like it's the right thing to do for the government to print all this money and pump it in the economy to make sure that the economy doesn't collapse. And I get that. I get that way of thinking. But then you have to step away from that and say, okay, what's going to be the consequence of this? Because for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction, right? We all know that, right? So what's going to be the reaction or the consequence for all this money printing? There is going to be a consequence, guys.
Well, the reaction is simple. All the hedge fund managers, they're looking for alternative to place their money. That's the reaction.
Yes.
The Federal Reserve Bank basically just watered down all of our dollar holdings that we have in our pocket, right? By pouring in or making a bunch of new money that they printed out. So the reaction will be people are going to look for an alternative, and that's the reaction. There are only limited amounts of alternatives that are available out there. And I strongly believe that Bitcoin is one of them.
Oh, absolutely. You would have to be living under a rock right now to not realize that Bitcoin is one of the maybe top 2 or 3 alternative to what's going on as far as the money printing, right? Yes, you're going to have those people who will always run to gold because that's just what they know. And that, a lot of people are afraid of technology. They're afraid of new things. They're afraid of change. Yep. And so those people, they're going to cling to the gold because that's just what they know. But I believe that majority of people who understand new technology, understand change when change is upon us, right? Then I think most of those people will look to Bitcoin for an alternative, especially the younger people. I saw someone the other day. I won't mention their name, but they have a few gold bars, and that was given to them, and they were like, what should we do with this? Like, what am I going to do with this? they were like, what is this, right? So yes, the older people in their 60s, 70s, absolutely, they will go to gold for sure. But if anyone that's under 50, 40s, 30s, 20s, I really don't see those people putting their money into gold. I just don't see it. I could be wrong, right? I could be 100% wrong. Personally, I just don't see anyone that is like a millennial or a Generation X type person.
On behalf of
Anyone that
millennials, Gershom, yeah, barely any of us are buying any gold these days. It's Bitcoin.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. And so yes, and that money, those monies, if you will find its way into Bitcoin for sure. And so that's why you want to be in Bitcoin now. You don't want to wait until the money flood in, and then it becomes unaffordable in that way, right? Or if you get into Bitcoin mining, you won't mine as much. You want to start mining Bitcoin now. Start collecting your Bitcoin now, so when all that money starts pouring into it and the price goes up, you can benefit from it. That's the whole idea of investing. You get in early. You don't get in late when it's too late, right? When the price is too high, you can't afford it. Or as far as mining, you won't mine as much. Get in now. And as a matter of fact, like, what are you waiting for? Like, for the sky to fall in? No, do it now. Now is the time. Don't wait. Take action.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, the person that you saw with a bunch of gold bars, you just tell them to get into Bitcoin. Convert it.
Well, believe it or not, that person's already in Bitcoin. That's why they didn't know what to do with the gold. That's why they were like, what should we do with this? What should we do with this? I'm like, okay. But it just goes to show you, in all seriousness, it goes to show you that no one is thinking about, putting their money into gold. Like we were talking about last week, Jason. No one wants to, this is not like, back in the 1800s when you can walk up to a bar and slap, a gold coin in the counter and order a drink. That's not going to happen. So
that's for sure.
Yes, right. Bitcoin is where it is. And if you're not in Bitcoin already, then you may want to, rethink that and take action real quick.
Yeah, I think you actually gave a really good examples. Like, I when I look at, my surrounding people that I know, there's definitely this trend that is going on. Like even my kids, I mean, who ranges from, 12 to 6. I don't know if it's because I talk about it so much at the house. I mean, they are excited about Bitcoin. But I bet you if you go to them and you ask them, do you know what goals are? They'll probably have less idea than what they know about Bitcoins. So that's an interesting trend that I'm seeing.
Yeah. I mean, look, the way I see it is just it's just the other evolution, if you will, right? Everything evolved, right? And the only constant in life, as we all know, is change.
Don't you pay me?
And so as much as gold has been used as a safe haven for the past like 5,000 or 6,000 years, one of the biggest reasons for that was because nothing else could compete with gold. And so even when the guys that came up with the idea for Bitcoin, they knew that the next crisis, the next financial crisis, gold was not going to be able to stand up to, all the money printing and whatnot. And let's be honest, guys, gold has failed, right? Gold has failed as a monetary standard many, many times. That's the reason why we don't have a gold standard right now. Because every time that a government goes on the gold standard, all they have to do is just take themselves off the gold standard, like Nixon did in 1971. So gold has failed. In that sense, if you really think about it, gold has failed over and over and over again as a standard, right? So we need something that completely, when you say hard money, Bitcoin is the ultimate hard money. because we know for a fact there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin.
Yep.
We don't know how much gold is out there, like literally, and they're finding more and more pockets of gold almost every day, right? So you cannot say gold is the ultimate hard money because you can find more gold, tomorrow in some mountain or some cave somewhere, right? But you know for a fact there will never be more than 21 million Bitcoin, and it cannot be debased. Government cannot print any more of it, and so when you look at the all the different things that goes into Bitcoin, all the different benefits that Bitcoin provide, I'm telling you right now, 100% in my heart, Bitcoin will ultimately outperform gold as a store of value.
And I agree, Dosham. And also, I am seeing more and more, big names that are coming into the mining, game. Are supposed to just go out there and buy a bunch of Bitcoins and hold them because, these are really, really smart people. Like this morning, on our Facebook page, we just, shoot out a quick, like a news feed that one of the PayPal's founder started a Bitcoin mining company.
Peter
right?
Thiel.
So Peter Thiel.
Yeah. In Texas.
That's right. And
Yeah.
you talk about these are some of the, smartest people in both technologies and in, financial world. And why doesn't he just go and say, hey, I'm just going to go buy, I think he's, put in like $50 million worth of, why don't I just go out there and buy $50 million worth of Bitcoins and just hold it? Why does he have to go through the effort and energies and trouble about setting up a mining, operations? Because it makes more sense.
Absolutely.
And that's the reason, and that is what we are preaching to our members, that it makes more sense because in the long run, you'll come out better. Mining will come out better than just buying and holding. If look at some of the brightest minds that started PayPal. My gosh, when maybe 15, 20 years ago, when we look at PayPal, we're like, what the hell is that? I mean, that's got to be a scam. Why do I have to use PayPal, right? But guess what? A lot of people are using it today, right?
I'm gonna do one more name drop on you, Jason. Someone that's also looking to get involved in the Bitcoin mining game. The founder and CEO of Twitter, Jack Dorsey. So he went to Africa. So he's looking to set up a mining farm in Africa. And so a few months ago, he announced that he was going to live in Africa for like 6 months.
6 months, yeah. But I think due to the pandemic, he postponed his plan.
Yeah. So, and the reason why I find that to be fascinating, because when you think about it, right, like you just said, guys like Peter Thiel, guys, that guy was one of the founders of PayPal, and he has done many other things. He's a billionaire, right? Guys like Jack Dorsey, billionaire. So these guys are billionaires, have multiple successful companies, and they're getting involved with Bitcoin mining.
Yep.
And you say what? And so these guys who are super successful, multi-billionaires, and they are getting involved with it, and you say it's not for you, right? That part I don't understand. So yes, that's not a person that's getting involved in the Bitcoin mining space, but he's trying to set up his mining farm over in Africa.
So I read that he wanted to go to Africa because he believes in Bitcoins. And by the way, he's also the CEO for Square, which a lot of us are familiar with. They basically have this tiny little device that you can attach to your cell phone, and it makes small businesses to accept credit cards a lot easier, right? He also integrated Bitcoin, trading into the Square platform. So he is definitely one, person that I would consider as a visionary person that can see things, earlier than most of us, would. And so, he believes in Bitcoin. I just didn't know that he wanted to go to Africa to actually start a farm, a mining farm. But if he's already like committing his, other company, multi-billion-dollar corporation, Square, resources into Bitcoins, and now he's, thinking that, mining is actually better than just, trading and, earning those commissions over, buying and selling. What are we waiting for?
That's what I'm saying. That was my point just now. If these guys can see the benefit of Bitcoin mining to the point where they want to set up their own mining farms, and these guys are super successful, multi-billionaires, have started multi-billion-dollar companies. So, as an average person, why wouldn't I want to follow in their footsteps? Right? It just makes sense. So yeah, you have to follow those who are visionaries and those who are successful. You follow in their footsteps. You do what they're doing. And you want to be a billionaire? Do what billionaires do, right?
But it goes back to a quote that many people say: if you want to be successful, find a successful person and copy exactly what they're doing.
Absolutely. And if these guys can see the long-term benefit in Bitcoin mining, I think that that's a sign for everyone, to also look into it as well.
I agree.
Yeah, but let's switch gears a little bit. So today, another like 3.3 million people signed for unemployment. So now the unemployment numbers is well over 20 million. I mean, at 20% in terms of the working population. So look, man, these unemployment numbers starting to approach depression type numbers. I think it's like when the unemployment numbers start to go like 25%, 30% unemployment. Those are depression numbers, and I'm starting to get seriously concerned, Jason. I'm a little worried. I don't know about you, but I'm a little worried.
I think there's like in at the end of the tunnel. As I'm reading, these news feeds, we know that actually they're getting closer and closer to the treatments and the prevention of COVID-19, which is with the vaccine. So we know that in China they already started these larger study, larger trials, and the U.S. is starting its trial very, very soon, and they are trying to get a vaccine ready by end of the year. I believe the latest I read was January, which is great news to have, right? I think to really put full confidence into the people, we really need to have some kind of a vaccine that people can take and not have to worry about going out there and resuming their everyday normal life. So I think as we are slowly opening up our economy, obviously some of those for the fortunate ones like us, we get to continue to build upon our business, and at the same time be able to kind of practice, social distancing, which is a blessing. But for a lot of people out there, as they're slowly opening up the economy, and I think as soon as they have a vaccine that they can massively produce and be able to distribute it to the rest of the population, I think that's when we can fully get our life back to normal. So I do see lights at the end of the tunnel. So not as glim, as some of the people are looking at it.
Got you. I hope so. I really do because as much as I know that Bitcoin is going to shine and everything like that, I don't want to see the country going through anything like happened in the last depression in 1929. I don't want to see us go through anything like that. And so when I started seeing these numbers, I started getting a little concerned. But you're right. If they come up with a vaccine, I think with the vaccine, the only thing I don't want to get too off topic, but I think the concern is if they make it mandatory. I think that could be problematic, but we'll see. But in any event, go ahead.
No, yeah, you bring up an interesting point. Yeah, I don't know if they're going to make it automatic or mandatory. I don't think we'll be able to do that in our country, at least. But it might be kind of like similar to if you want to enroll your kids into school, you have to have, paperwork that shows that they're fully, vaccinated, right? They have to have up-to-date vaccines that from birth till whatever their school age. So it could be that way,
Yeah. But you also see that expanding like into certain workplace.
Yeah.
I see certain companies say, hey, if you don't have your COVID-19 vaccine shot, then you can't come back to work type of thing. I could see that happening too.
Sure. In China, there's an app that the central government issue out to all of its citizens that, it's like green, yellow, and red. So if you're green, then you're free to take the train, the subways, and go to public places. If you're yellow, then they place some restrictions on it. Obviously, if you're red, then you better stay home. So are we gonna be getting to that kind of extreme? I don't think so. But I think we will actually have some sort of a requirement if you want to be in, let's say, a federal building or some government buildings or some employment workplaces. You might have to be able to demonstrate that you are safe.
Yeah, I can see that.
So,
I can see that coming for sure. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. We definitely need something because we have to get back to a normal function.
Absolutely,
and, yeah. We can't. This is, I don't know. This can't go on much longer. So if it means a vaccine comes out and they have some restrictions around it, some requirements and things like that. Hey, you know what? We have to do something. We can't keep the economy locked down like this. Because if we do that, then the consequence of that is going to be devastating.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, so as we get towards wrapping this up, Jason, I know you were here in the office earlier, but you left. Right after you left, there was a demonstration right outside the office. I don't know if Jim told you. Yeah.
No, what happened?
So these people are demonstrating for the right not to pay rent. I know it was rent. I'm not sure if it was rent and mortgage, but I know most of the sign says, rent strike or no, don't pay rent or whatever. So I started thinking about that, and I started thinking about the domino effect that could cause, because I don't think most people realize. See, a lot of people think that landlords are rich. Are there some rich landlords? Absolutely. But not all landlords are rich. Right. And most of these landlords have a mortgage on the house that you're renting.
Right.
So when you don't pay your rent, the landlord can't pay the mortgage, then that creates a domino effect, and that only makes things worse. Right?
For sure.
So
for sure,
it's easy to say, oh, don't pay your rent. You have to think about the consequence of that. Now, look, everyone understand that we're going through a difficult time. A lot of people haven't worked in a while, and stimulus
Right.
stimulus check hasn't been there. Everyone gets that, but if you can pay your rent, pay your rent. Like really, pay your rent because the effect that that can have on the economy. You know, you think one person doesn't make a difference? It could, right? If enough people decide not to pay their rent because they want to take advantage of the situation, that only adds to all the difficulty that's going on right now. So when I saw the demonstration, look out the window, I'm like, what's going
Yeah.
on? And I saw cars lined up and all these signs. And I'm just like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
I mean that I didn't know there was a demonstration about that.
yeah,
I agree. Just like people that have a mortgage, right? Or people have bills. If you can pay your bills, you should. I mean, don't use that as an excuse for not paying your obligations, right? So if you're facing a tough time, absolutely, totally understandable. You should work that out with your landlord or with your mortgage company. Um, but I don't know. I mean, I feel that we should all contribute to what we can to not further deteriorate the economy. That's my
100%,
personal
absolutely.
opinion. Yeah, but if you have tough time, totally understandable, right? I mean, you should.
Yeah,
And that's the reason why the government is having these quantitative easing, meaning economic stimulus package that are coming out for both the individual as well as the small businesses, right?
yeah.
So
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I wanted to kind of get your take on it because it happens almost not exactly right after you left, but a few minutes after you left, maybe like
mm,
20 minutes or so, half an hour or so after you left. We saw them outside, and I thought it was interesting. But yeah, I think a lot of people were saying landlords just want money and all of that. But guys, you have to understand, most of these landlords have a mortgage on that house that they rent to you. So, it's
absolutely,
not that the
yeah,
landlords, are super wealthy and they just want a money grab. They have
right,
responsibilities too, and they have to pay their mortgage and they have to
right,
feed their family and all that. So you can't just say, I'm not paying my rent and think it's okay. It's not okay. And like Jason says, if you have a problem, a situation, we all know what's going on right now, then work it out with the landlord. But
absolutely,
just to say you're not paying your rent because landlords just want to money grab or you're going to use the situation as a reason not to pay your rent, thinking that you're doing something good. You're not, because you can cause a lot of people a lot of pain by you not paying your rent because the situation is what it is and trying to take advantage of it. So
right.
kind of my 2 cents on that. With that being said, Jason, I think we've come to the end of this live stream today. Any parting words for the folks out there?
Stay safe, continue to practice social distancing, and please, if you have a chance or if you have an opportunity, take a look at the most recent article that was published this morning by our CEO. I think it offers a lot of good analysis in there. And if there's any questions, we'll be happy to answer any questions that you guys might have at our next podcast.
Awesome. I second everything you just said, Jason. You guys go to our website, vividmining.com. Check it out. Definitely read that article from our CEO. Very informative article. And get in the Bitcoin mining game, guys. Jin and I was having lunch today. I told him, I said, look, with all these projections for next year, Bitcoin could be 100,000 or whatever. I'm going to be one of the first guys to be on social media screaming from the rooftop saying, I told you so. I'm so serious, Jason. I'm going to be one of those guys. I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to be that guy saying, I told you so. And I can't wait. So, don't let me say I told you so to you, okay? give
You
us a
know,
call. Go to our website. Get involved with this thing, man, because this train is about to leave the station. And yeah, get involved, guys. Don't be afraid. We're here to help.
awesome.
All right. With that being said, guys, thank you so much for being on today's live stream with us. We appreciate it. So our next live stream is Monday at 5:30, same time, same place. Make sure you're there. And as always, for members, you know, we do our webinar Monday night, 9 o'clock, and then Tuesday, 7:30, and Thursday, 8 o'clock, and so forth. You guys know the schedule. All right. Okay, guys, have a wonderful weekend. You guys take care of yourselves. You guys love each other. Okay. Look out for your neighbors. All right. And we'll see you guys in the next podcast.